Pic-Time have just released Pic-Time 2.0, which is not just a slight tweak, it is a complete overhaul to their systems, and as a long-time user of Pic-Time, I couldn't be happier. Now, they haven't just updated the gallery experience for clients, which in my opinion is the most important part of the update, but they've also put more control into our hands in terms of the design of each gallery, so we can make it a bit more branded. They've also updated the shop tab as well to make the shopping experience for the customer much more immersive, and they've also upgraded the album creation experience, making it extremely intuitive and much easier now for clients to create their own albums and enjoy the process of doing so. Pic-Time's goal here was to increase the engagement and print sales by making the workflow more understandable for the client. Now, the whole experience has been rebuilt from the ground up, including the mobile experience and AI-assisted search tools in the galleries. But what I'm going to go over today is the gallery design and the gallery covers, which is the main things that the clients are going to see. So I'm going to skip over the shop tab for now. I'll cover that maybe at a later date if you guys would be interested, and also skip over the mobile experience, and I'm just going to focus on the design tools. So let's hop on over to the website now, and as you can see already, if you've seen the Pic-Time website before, the Pic-Time website has had an overhaul to kind of show off their new design-led tools. So I'm just going to go in here and create a new gallery, and I'm going to create one from a styled shoot that I did last year in London. So it was at Old Sessions House in London. I'm just going to make sure that Pic-Time 2.0 is selected, because you can still pick Pic-Time 1.0 if you would like to, but this new one is so much better. I'm just going to set the date to today. I'm going to ignore all this and just go ahead and create the gallery. So as you can see here, it's not fully rolled out yet. They are still adding features to Pic-Time 2.0, but we'll ignore that for now. Everything in this screen so far is the same apart from this new design tab, which you can see here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do highlights from this day and choose photos which I have pre-chosen as my favorites, so it'll just be a selection of highlights from the day. I'll get those uploaded now, and again, these all come through as usual, as they used to in Pic-Time 1.0. So now that these are uploaded, I'll just go into the design tab, and this is where everything has changed. So as you can see now, Pic-Time is now using AI tools to automatically select things such as your cover image. It's also selecting focal points, which you had to do manually previously. Of course, you can go back in and change all of these things. It's just doing things for you in the setup process. So as with a lot of new AI tools nowadays, it's just there to save time, but you can still, if you wish, manually change everything. So it's not taking over, it's just there as a helpful addition. So now that that's finished, it took about 2 minutes to go through that and analyze all of my images and selected what it thinks is the best image for the cover. This is what I'm currently left with. So we've got the classic design, which is what it chooses every time as default. We can change that in a minute, but I'll show you what the gallery currently looks like. So it's already looking better than Pic-Time 1.0. It's just looking a lot more modern. This is all quite similar, and we can change things like the gap between the images. Everything is very customizable now, more so than it was before. So we'll go through everything that we can customize. So I'm going to go through every single one of these looks that the galleries now have. So this would be classic, fine. So fine adds these, I guess you could call them scene headers, but you can add these in any one of these looks. It just adds it automatically with the fine look, but you can add it if you wish to the other ones, like classic. So currently it just says highlights as text. You can change this to a design header if you wish. You can also change the scene headers to videos, which I think I'm going to try to start implementing into my galleries as well, just to give it a bit more of a unique look. Minimal is the next one. Airy spotlight, which is one of my favorites. I really like how it cycles through the gallery. So if I just show you in a preview tab, you can see that this is what clients will see. I think this looks really modern and has such a nice feel to it. And we've got editorial. Again, I quite like this one just because of the editorial look. It's very much my style of work. Expressive with the scrolling text. Again, I really like this one. Folk. Let's go in and have a look at what this looks like, because I feel like it might look a bit different. No, it's pretty much the same. Just 2 images, 1 landscape, 1 portrait. And lastly is soft. Probably not one that I'm going to use, but it is quite a cool addition. Okay, so those are all the different looks that you can go for, or the pre-built looks. Now we can dive in and make it even more branded. So I'm going to choose, I think, Spotlight. I think this is going to be what I'm going to be using going into the wedding season. And now we can customize everything else. So we've got a choice of 6 fonts. This one, which is the pre-selected font for this look, so that is TT Norms Pro. Got Newsreader, Garamond, which is one of my fonts that I use all over my copy, so this is probably going to be the one that I'm going to choose. Freight Neo, Zilla Slab, and Gotham, another favorite font of mine, but Garamond it is going to be. I just tend to like serif fonts a little bit more than sans serif. You can also make the font slightly lighter if you wish, and it shows you what this is going to look like in the gallery too, or keep it bold. I prefer the bold fonts. Can then change element shapes, so what the buttons are going to look like. I always go with rectangle. You can see what they're going to look like here. The rounded off one looks nice. In my opinion, never use the pill one, but it's there if you want it. And then again, you can further customize other things in the gallery. So how big and small your photos are. There are 3 different options. You can go with small, medium, or large. Personally, I like the large ones. And then how narrow and wide the spaces are between each photo. So you can have really narrow spacing all the way to really wide spacing. I like somewhere in the middle about there. So those are going to be my style settings. You can also look at what it looks like on the phone as well and change these to suit. But again, I'm just going to mostly cover the desktop stuff today. So I'm going to keep this as is. And you can also, when you finish designing, you can save it as a template. So you can go in and use this design in another gallery straight away. You don't have to go in and fiddle with it every single time. If you land on something you really like, you can just save it and keep it for later. So that's all customized now. So I can then go into the gallery cover. So if I go into edit selection here, I can just tick all the images that I want it to cycle through in that new gallery header. For this gallery, it doesn't really matter what the hero image is, it's just going to be the one that shows first. And obviously they cycle through every like 0.3 seconds or so it doesn't matter too much what the hero image looks like. Now we can change as well what the gallery cover is doing. So I really like how it cycles through the photos. But I'm just going to, again, go through every single one of the new cover designs for you, just so you can see what they all look like. Because I've shown you 9 of them in the looks and feels, but you can then go in and change it even more to what suits your kind of preference. So start with the first one. I'm just going to cycle through pretty quickly just so you guys can see what they all look like. So here's the first one. Second one, we've got the scrolling text. Then we've got this shape one, quite similar to this one here that we saw earlier. We've got the cycling through the pictures, which is the default one for the look that I've chosen. They've got this one, which I believe is the editorial default. I'll keep going through. This one I think scrolls with you as you go down the page. Really like that. Super nice. I absolutely love how that one looks. Then we've got a pretty basic one. This is probably closest to what I used to use on PicTime 1.0. Just a very, very simple image in the middle that's always portrait. But now when you scroll down, it fades, which is just such a nice little feature. Just these little tiny things, these 1% differences that make the galleries feel so much more elevated. So we've got this one, which has an animated title that comes in when you scroll, and a basic header at the top with the image. Double image, which I really like, so you can have a portrait and a landscape behind it that's slightly faded out. Then we've got this one, which again is another animated one, so it just scrolls through the images in the background with the opacity slightly turned down so you can see the text clearly. This one with a nice landscape image, which again just has a nice scroll effect as you go down. Another basic portrait one with text in front. Again, this is another one of my favorite ones. It's quite hard to see the text, so you would have to choose a hero image that contrasts well with the text in front of it. But I mean, you can read that. It's not too hard, and it moves out of the way when you scroll down too. Anyway, I'm going to keep going through just so you can see them all. I was going to say, I didn't know if that one loaded properly, but that's quite an interesting design. I really, really like how minimal that is. And as you scroll down, the portrait photo reveals itself with the date underneath it. That's really cool. That might be another favorite, or I don't know if that's too minimal. But yeah, PicTime is just doing all the heavy lifting for you. This feels like, to the client, like you've put a lot of time into the design elements of the gallery, yet PicTime has done almost everything, and then you can just go in and refine it to however you want it to look like, which again is PicTime's strength. It's just taking work away from you and working for you. It's exactly why I started using PicTime in the first place, because it's running my sales for me. It's doing everything in the background and generating sales whilst I'm doing next to nothing. It's just the initial setup that takes a little bit of work, and then PicTime is doing the rest for me. Okay, so the ones down here are a little bit more basic. These are static images, I believe, so they just scroll normally as you go down. I really like this one. And then we've got other options, so different arrangements of your images. So if you wanted 3 squares up here, or yeah, it's just 3 squares, not 3 portrait. So a bit like an Instagram page. We've got just some more minimal ones. And yeah, these are all just pretty much the same, just different layouts of images. So that's all of the design covers that you can have. So I'm going to go back to this one. I think this is going to be the one that I'm going to use. Then we go in and change the branding even more. So we've got colors. So we can auto select colors for the gallery cover from the hero photo. So that will choose the colors from this photo that we've chosen here as hero, and it'll update the background cover so that it suits that image in particular. So because the whole gallery was quite similar in terms of colors, this color really suits the gallery as it scrolls through, which I think is really nice. That would go so well. That already looks really well designed, in my opinion. So that's one of the options. We can also do gallery colors, no background. So you'd pre-select the colors here. We'll go through that in a second. We can also have gallery colors with background. So that would be, again, one of the backgrounds here, or just be the secondary color, the background color. And lastly, we can have select manually. So I can just select any color that I want. So this could be, for example, my specific branding color. So I could insert my hex code here. So that would probably be somewhere around here. I'm not going to find my hex code right now, but it's something like that, a beige, because all my branding is very beige. And you can then choose if your logo shows up white or black. So my logo is up there in the top left corner. So if I choose white, I'll show you what it looks like. There it is, up there in the corner as white. But obviously with this background, it would look much better as a black logo. So I would keep it as black in this case. But I think what I like the best is the auto select from the hero photo. I really, really like that brown. It goes so well with the colors. And then we can choose the text as well. So we can go in and change the Garamond text if we want to any of these fonts that are built into QuickTime. I'm going to keep Garamond because I like it. You can change the letter spacing as well, so you can spread it out a bit. I quite like a little bit of letter spacing and a reduced size. So I'm going to take the size down a bit. I think that looks really nice. And then the secondary font, so that would be the font that shows up as the date. I might actually make that sans serif. Yeah, I like the TT norms, and I'm going to make it light. I'm going to make it a little bit, actually make it smaller and bring out the letter spacing. No, I'm going to bring back down the letter spacing. So this is what it would look like finally. So we've got the nice serif font here, and then the sans serif font underneath with the date. If you click on this, by the way, it takes you down to the highlights. But I am very happy with that as a whole. So here as well, we can change the colors of the gallery. So as we have selected auto select for the gallery cover, it's not going to change it there. But if we change it back to gallery colors with background, we can see how it's going to start changing the background of the gallery cover as well as the gallery as a whole. So if we go through and cycle the different colors, you can see that things start to change. So it's quite subtle, but this would be the one that I would choose, the second tab. But as we go through, you can see that the colors of the gallery cover and the gallery itself are changing in relation to what I'm choosing here on the colors. If I go back and change the gallery cover color to what I'd actually be using, so that would be auto select from the photo, and then keep going through, you can see that it slightly changes the color of just the gallery. So you can edit these separately, or you can edit them together however you like. So if I'm doing it separately, the gallery cover stays the same, but now I'm changing the color of the gallery itself. So again, high level of customizability. The limitation here is currently you can only use these colors for the gallery itself, I believe, whereas you can choose any color you wish using hex codes or just the color selector for the gallery cover. I imagine QuickTime might add more customizability, so you can choose whatever color you wish for the gallery itself, because these are, I suppose, a little bit restrictive for the colors that you can use. But if you're just using white, obviously that's already there. So that's the one that I will be using for my galleries going forward. So this is pretty much almost done. The last thing that we've got is scene headers. So for the scene header, all you need to do is drag the image that you want as the header to the front, and that will become the hero image. And you can add any photo you want from your gallery. You don't have to re-upload anything. You can just tick it here to add it to the images that you can use as that scene's header. You can also change the design of the scene headers. So you can have it here as just a static image. I believe you can also use a video here for any of these. So this doesn't have to be a still image, but you can change the design for each of them. So again, I'll just go through each different design. So they're all relatively similar, just different layouts, different colors. And again, Pic-Time is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So the design is already pretty nice. Again, I quite like this one, or actually the full image I quite like too. This one's pretty cool. So it's like a super wide screen header here. If you go down and see what that looks like, it's just really, really thin. I think that's really nice, but doesn't show too much of the image for the client. So I want to make sure that it's client focused as well as looking really nice. You can also just have just text too, which is obviously what Pic-Time 1.0 had. So just cycling through the different text options to show you what you can select. And that is all of them, but I think I'm going to go for probably this one. Actually, yeah, I quite like the smaller text rather than the bigger one. That's what we had at first. Can you change the text? Yes, you can. You can change how small and how big that text is. So I think I'm going to have it fairly small. And you can also change what font it is. I'm going to have serif there just to have a different font to the title. So all of my secondary fonts are going to be this serif font, which is TT Norms Pro. I think it's a little bit too bold as well. So can we change that to light? Yes, we can. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And the colors, it's auto selected from the photo, or you can of course select manually, but I'm going to keep it as, I think, black text. So I've gone through all of the design elements that Pic-Time has to offer now in its gallery covers and gallery headers. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. I will probably save this as a template. I might play around with this header a little bit more, just because I'm not too sure if I like it, but to me this looks really, really clean. So in my opinion, Pic-Time has just completely smashed it out of the park, to be honest. They continue to innovate. I used to use Pixieset, and their galleries, to be honest, they look dated to say the least now. They haven't really innovated much in the past few years. They all look very similar and old, whereas Pic-Time have really modernized their design tools. Not only is it a better experience for the client, which is our main priority, but it also makes life easier for us, which is also obviously a big bonus. So props to Pic-Time for their new Pic-Time 2.0. I can't wait to see what's rolled out in the new updates as well. But this has been every new design element in Pic-Time. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.